morning, guys, or good afternoon. Um, Today we're gonna work with comparing and ordering fractions, decimal, and percentages, okay? First, let's warm up a little bit with the first exercise that says write each in two different forms. The first one says 120%, and you are asked to write that down in two different forms. So, the easiest way by which we could do that is writing that in decimals. Remember when you had, for example, you had 28% and I told you convert that into a decimal, you just did like point 28. Why? Because you had, how many zeros does 100 have? 2, right? So 1, 2, and then that's the reason why it was converted to 0.28. Well, it will be the same whenever you have a percentage like this one. It says 120%. Of course, I know that's more than 100. So what I need to do is do the same. I count the zeros that the 100 has, so it's 2, 1, 2. And if I change that into a decimal, it will be 1.20. Okay, that is one way of writing it different than percentages, but it says writing each in two different forms, so I need another one. If I have the first one, now the next one is completely simple. I just say, I know it's 1 point something, so it's one whole and 20, and then you learned this in the first period. How many decimals do you have? I have 1, 2, so it will be 20 over 100, okay? And then you're done. Let's do the next one together. We're gonna do the whole page because this is the only video that you must watch in order to solve the other page, okay? Now let's work with the next one. Let's start with 230. We'll do the same. Well, we're gonna skip this one. No, we're gonna do it. It will be 2.30. That will be the decimal. And then sorry, I was just making sure that I was recording perfectly. So if I want to change that into a fraction, it will be 2 whole because it's 2 point something, and then 30, and then as it is 2 decimals over 100, and that will be it. Next one, it says 0.2%. Okay, that's different. We hadn't seen that them before, so you will do the same. What you will do is counting the zeros, okay? I want to change that into a decimal, so I said move. If you have, for example, 120%, you move the point from here and it was 1.20, or for example when you had 28%, it was 0.28. It will be the same in this one. You need to move the point 2 times because it's percent, and percent has 2 zeros, so 1 and 2. If I change 2% into a decimal, it will be 0.002. Yeah, because the point was here, so I move it 2 times. I'm doing the same with this one. I know it might be weird because it is not 2%, it is 0.2%. That's the reason why I moved the decimal point 2 times. And then once that is done, I need to do the same and then change that into a fraction. So I know the number is 2. But now how many decimals do I have? 1, 2, 3. So it will be 1 and 3 zeros. That will be 1,000. And then I am done, okay? Remember, you are paying attention because you're gonna do the same with your page in the book. The same will be with this one. I'm gonna move the decimal point 2 times, 1 and 2, because it's percentage and the 100 has 2 zeros. So it will be 0.0. It doesn't look like a point, right? But it will be 0.006. And then as a fraction will be 6 over 1, 2, 3, 1 and 3 zeros, 1,000. Now next one, it is the other way, so we need to change that into a percentage and into a decimal. Sorry, I do the same. Count the zeros that you have in the denominator. I have 3 zeros because it's 1,000. So I need to move the point 3 times. And it like the point is here. When you don't see a point in a number, you have like this number or this number. It will always have the decimal point here. If you don't see it, it must be there. So I move the point 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And the decimal will be 0.003. You learned this again in the first period. Remember when I told you like math in this year and 7th grade will be kind of repetitive? It's because what you learned before is gonna be used later. Now, if I wanna change that into a percentage, you're gonna do the same thing that we did here by moving the points, but now the other way. If the point is here and the 100 has 2 zeros, it's gonna move to the other way, and it will be 0.3%. Are we cool? Well, I hope so, right? Because I cannot listen to your answer. So I hope you're cool. And then, let's continue. The last one says 4/5. Hack. The easiest way to solve it is dividing it and converting that into a decimal. Remember that you can always convert a fraction into a decimal by dividing using division. So 4 divided by 5. This goes inside of the division. This one goes outside. You must learn that. You must know that from before. And then 5 doesn't fit in 4. I put a decimal point and I add a 0. How many times does 5 fit in 40? 8. So because 8 times 5 is 40, and that will be my answer. So as a decimal, it will be 0.8. But if I want to change that into a percentage, I need to move the point 2 times. Remember, 0.8 or 0.6 was the same as 60% or 80%. So 0.8 will be 80%. You are joining or you are trying to mix everything that we have learned, because that's another thing that we saw. 0.06 and 0.6 are different. Why? Because this is 6% and this one is 60%. So that was what we just did. Now, next one. That was the first exercise. Second exercise says, order each set from the last to the greatest part of a unit. Okay? And then you have like